Finding Calm Through Jesus. 7 Biblical Pathways to Inner Peace. Ever asked yourself, why can't I be at peace? In this video, you'll meet 7 people in Scripture, each overwhelmed in their own way, who found their calm, not in escaping their chaos, but in turning towards Yahweh. Their stories is so much more than just inspiration. It's a roadmap. So let's start walking. The first character we want to look at is Hannah. We find the story of Hannah in 1 Samuel chapter 1. Hannah would become the mother of the kingmaker, the greatest kingmaker in Israel, Samuel. But when we meet her, Hannah is broken, she's barren, she's mocked, and she's almost falling apart. But instead of shutting down, she poured everything out in prayer to God. Unfiltered, unpolished, just raw prayer, not hiding anything, just pouring out her soul. And although her situation didn't change immediately, she didn't have a downcast face anymore. What we can learn from Hannah's story on our journey to inner peace is that peace begins with honesty. Bringing your unedited emotions to God in prayer opens the door for calm to flood into your life. It's not about pretending to be okay. It's about trusting the one who already knows everything that you're going through. So on your journey to find inner peace, why don't you try this? Write an unfiltered prayer to God, telling Him what you're facing, where you are in your life, and what you experience, what you feel about that. Don't pretend, don't edit the prayer, don't put any religious cliches in, just raw honesty. Give that to God and just feel the weight lift. The second character we want to learn from is Joseph of Arimathea. In Mark chapter 15, we see the story of Joseph who, after the crucifixion, when everybody else was running away, quietly but boldly went to Pilate to ask him for Jesus' body. That was a risky move. It was counterculture and very unpopular in his circles. What we learn from Joseph is that peace is not passive. Real peace fuels courage, and it will give you clarity when panic wants to overwhelm. Joseph found his calm in anchoring his soul in what he believed and in living out of his own conviction, not the opinions of man around him. So why don't you try this on your journey towards inner peace? Whenever you are faced with a difficult situation, ask yourself, what would courage look like if it was rooted in peace and not in pressure? And then just take one step in that direction. Ruth, rest in uncertainty. Ruth lost everything. She lost her husband, her future, her security. Instead of retreating, she chose to stay. She chose loyalty over clarity and commitment over certainty. What we can learn from Ruth is that peace is not about knowing the full plan. It's about planting your feet in faith now without being certain about the outcome. Ruth's quiet strength was about trusting God for the next step instead of wanting to know the whole path. So on your journey to finding inner peace, why don't you try this? When life feels uncertain, choose one small act of faithfulness, and you will see how peace grows through commitment and not control. Stephen, unshakable peace in persecution. In Acts chapter 7, we read about Stephen, who stood alone. He was misunderstood, he was accused, and he was moments from his death. But in the chaos, he looked up and he saw Jesus. He forgave his killers and he died in peace. What we learn from Stephen about peace is that peace is not the absence of pain. It's about focusing your eyes on Jesus, even when everything falls apart around you. Stephen didn't manufacture his calm. He received it when he focused on Jesus, who was right there with him. So on your journey towards inner peace, why don't you try this? Whenever you feel overwhelmed, close your eyes, picture Jesus right next to you, take a deep breath and just speak to him. Let his presence fill you with peace and interrupt your panic. Martha, choosing presence over pressure. In Luke 10, we read about Martha, who was doing everything right. She was very busy, but she still felt anxious and frustrated. And in her chaos, Jesus spoke these gentle words to her. Martha, you are concerned about many things, but only one thing really matters. The wisdom that we can learn from Martha is that peace starts with presence. Not in productivity, not in performance. It's when we slow down and sit with Jesus and allow his presence to quiet the noise around us. So why don't you try this? Before your day starts, before you open your laptop or answer a message, take a moment, maybe even 5 moments, and sit with Jesus. Imagine his presence with you. Speak to him, read a Bible verse, and take his presence into the day. Let your worth rest in him and not in your to-do list. Gideon, from fear to peace through the power of God's voice. In the book of Judges, we read about Gideon. Gideon was hiding when God called him a mighty warrior. He didn't feel brave, but God spoke courage into him anyway. And then Gideon built an altar and called it, "The Lord is my peace." The wisdom that we can learn from Gideon is that we find peace when we allow God to define us. Not man's opinion, not the pressure we experience, not fear or challenges. Gideon changed when he started believing what God said about him. So on your journey towards inner peace, why don't you try this? Think about a fear that you face that's busy defining you. Then ask the question, what does God say about this in my life? And let that truth speak louder than your fear. From an unknown woman in the Bible, we can learn peace is about persistence. The woman with the issue in blood in Mark chapter 5 was isolated, she was in pain, she was shunned by the community. She didn't give up, she didn't quit. She pressed through the crowd and touched the hem of Jesus' garment. We learn from this unnamed woman that peace rewards persistence. Faith doesn't need to be loud, just persistent. Jesus stopped everything when that woman touched him, and he healed her. He sozoed her, which means healed of your physical ailment and receiving the peace of heaven. So on your journey towards inner peace, why don't you try this? If you've been worn out, if you've been waiting for a long time, just don't quit. Don't stop today. Try one more time. Ask one more time. Be persistent. Reach out again. Pray again. God sees you. Peace is a person. The Prince of Peace, Jesus. We've learned about 7 people with 7 different struggles, but they didn't find peace by trying to fix their lives. They found it in turning to Jesus. And that's the shift. Peace isn't a feeling you chase, it's a person you connect with. So whatever the season you are in, there's a pathway for you here. You're not stuck. There's an invitation to peace. And the calm that you're craving is so much closer than you think. Are you looking for a deeper guide? Pre-order the Stronger course now on 1010life.com. And remember, your better tomorrow starts today.